Hi guys, I'm Stephanie and this is Khalani and this is going to be my labor story. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Also check out our website at twocurlsonecomb.com. Okay, so my labor story started September 27th, 2017 at 11 p.m. I had come home from work because I was still working. And I cooked dinner, threw some things in the crock pot for the following day because I had an earlier shift. And I had laid down to go to bed at about 11 o'clock. And I think I might have fell asleep for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I had the worst pains I've ever felt. Well, I don't know. They were the worst pains I've ever felt. I didn't get Braxton Hicks. So, well, the Braxton Hicks I got were very, 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 like, non-existent because they were just like cramps. So, and I had cramps with my periods, prior to being pregnant. So I just, didn't even count those as Braxton Hicks, even though they are technically Braxton Hicks. I just didn't think they were. And so when I got my contractions, I thought I was having Braxton Hicks because the day of the 27th, I had left my big water bottle at home and I was severely dehydrated. So I assumed that, they say Braxton Hicks can be triggered by dehydration. So I just assumed I was having Braxton Hicks. Make a long story short, I labored at home. All the way up to about 9 o'clock the next morning. I labored in the bed at 11, from 11 to about maybe midnight. And then I got up and I went into our bathroom to go to the bathroom, of course, because pregnant, you need to pee. And after I used the bathroom, it stirred up another contraction. So at this point, I think I started tracking the contractions. And I started laboring on the floor in the all fours position, like a dog. And because these contractions they didn't have a perfect pattern. Like mine some were 5 minutes apart, some were 2 minutes apart, some were 5 minutes in length, some were a minute in length. Like they were just all over the place. So I just assumed that they were Braxton Hicks. I really did. And I tried to go back and lay down for an hour. So about 1 o'clock at night, the crock pot started smelling really good because, I was cooking a chicken kind of soup kind of thing going on. I don't even know what was in the crock pot, to be honest. I just threw a whole bunch of stuff in there and prayed for it to be good in the morning. And so I went downstairs like about 2 maybe. I had decided I wasn't going to work because obviously I hadn't been to sleep since maybe about 9 or 8 o'clock that morning. So I just decided I can't work, and not have any sleep. And I just knew these Braxton Hicks would stop. And so I went downstairs and I decided I needed to stir the crock pot. So, what did I say I was? About 2 o'clock maybe? So I stirred the crock pot, slowly stirred the crock pot because of course every time, as you move, you feel pressure and, all kinds of stuff. So I made it down the steps, went to the kitchen, stirred the crock pot, had another contraction, and then found out that the contractions were actually better standing up. So I labored standing up for about another hour and 30 minutes with the TV on, of course, to keep me company. Somewhere between the hours of 3 to 4 a.m., I had the biggest bowel movement I've ever had in my entire life. Like whatever you let in the toilet, imagine that times 10. I know that's TMI, but I just want to be real, just in case there's somebody watching who's about to go through labor. I went to go sit down finally on the couch, which sitting down in a regular position was harder for me than laying on my side or any other position. Like sitting down just like up and down like this was the worst pain. So I got down on the floor. I took my blanket, wrapped it around me, and I got down on the floor and kind of laid on my side, just to try to get some sleep, because I thought, you know, I was having Braxton Hicks. I was sure this was going to stop. Like, I was utterly mistaken, basically. So one of the times I went to the bathroom, because remember, I'm drinking like a whole bunch of water now because I think I'm dehydrated. I'm just trying to replace the moisture, because replacing the moisture should stop Braxton Hicks if you're having like true Braxton Hicks that aren't labor pains. I'm using the bathroom a lot, and so I started having a bloody show. I can't remember what time that was, I'm sorry, but yeah, so I just put a little pad on, because my doctor told me, I remember the doctor telling me, as long as you're not soaking a pad, you're fine. Like, so, and I wasn't. So I just assumed that this would stop and I'd be okay. So my boyfriend wakes up at about 5 a.m. to go to work. He comes down the steps and he was like, I guess you're not going to work. And I was like, yeah, I've been having these Braxton Hicks, and I can't sleep or whatever. And so he goes on, he gets dressed, because he had to report to work to let them know that, you know, I was in labor, but I just still didn't know. So he just goes, okay. He doesn't tell me anything, basically. He leaves and he tells me, but he doesn't tell me, I'll be right back. And I'm thinking in my head, like, he's being dramatic. He just wants a day off of work. Like, I'm totally gonna be okay. Baby's not coming. I wasn't due till October 10th. So in my mind, this baby was not coming, okay? 30 minutes later, I get a phone call. It's from him, and he's asking me again how far apart my contractions are. At this point, they're leading more towards about 2 minutes apart. Sometimes I'll get a 5-minute break, but they're mostly 2 minutes apart. And so, next thing I know, I must have fallen asleep after that, you know, just from being so exhausted. I fell asleep on the floor. I'm still on my side, and he comes in through the door. He goes, you gotta get up and get dressed. And I was like, why? And he was like, because you're going to the hospital. And I was like, they're just gonna send me home, you know, because I'm still assuming that I really fully did not know I was in labor. I keep saying that, and I'm stressing that, because for real, in my heart of hearts, this baby was not coming September 28th, 2017. She was not. So he's like, call your doctor. So I get on the phone and I call, you know, the number, trusted Annapolis OBGYNs. So I called them, and the doctor answered, well, no, the nurse answered the phone, tells me she'll have the doctor call me back, and, you know, that's their procedure. So I hang up the phone. Within, and they ask you what your symptoms are, basically, you know, trying to gauge to see how important it is for the doctor to call you immediately, or, you know. So I think I hung up, and maybe not even 5 minutes later, the doctor calls me, and she's like, how long have you been having contractions? She was like, Stephanie, that sounds like regular. It sounds like you're in labor. You might want to come in. If you're uncomfortable, you need to come in. And so I was like, okay. And I'm still in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get there. In my mind, I was like, I'm gonna get there, and they're still gonna send me home. Like, there's no way I'm in labor. Like, duh. So I had my emergency bag packed. So I grabbed my emergency bag, I changed my clothes, you know, put on some comfortable clothes, redo my hair a little bit, which was barely, because you're in so much pain, you're not going to want to get all spruced up. I just couldn't even think straight to get spruced up if I wanted to. So yeah, so I get as dressed as I'm going to get, put on some Crocs, and I waddled myself out to my car with my boyfriend. He, of course, drives. That drive was special. Like I said, when sitting up like this, like how you would have to sit in a car, my contractions were so much worse. I don't know if it's just a mental thing. I don't know, but like, it literally felt like the world was coming to an absolute end. Like, there was nothing nobody could tell me. I wasn't gonna be okay. I'm trying to hold tight because he's trying to drive and he's driving under stressful conditions. But me personally, I was having the worst pain I've ever had in my entire life. He starts speeding, of course. I mean, I think we hit 100 at one point on the road to the hospital. There's these rules that you're supposed to be able to, you know, hit the hazard buttons, honk your horn, and people are supposed to know that you're having an emergency. You need to move out the way. Nobody was doing that, so he ended up on the shoulder. We started driving on the shoulder, you know. He turned a 30-minute ride basically down to maybe a 15 or even 14-minute ride to the hospital. We parked the car. I waddle in. I don't even know where the maternity ward, because I just remember, okay, so the hospital that I had delivered at was Anne Arundel Medical Center, and one of my friends long time ago went to the ER there, and I was so impressed with their ER that I just trusted the hospital. So I never did the walk through. I never did, you know, a walk through the maternity ward or anything like that, because I've always just heard good things and I just wasn't worried about it, to be honest. To the hospital, and I'm like reading the directory, like, where's the labor and delivery, where's labor and delivery? And so finally we run into a guy. He's like, oh, here's this wheelchair. And I was like, I don't want the wheelchair, because sitting up and down hurts even worse than, you know, just walking. So I'm walking, and every time I have a contraction, I stop and I touch the wall, and I'm like, and then we keep walking. So we get to the labor and delivery. I check in, which didn't take long, and they take me straight back. First thing you do is you pee in a cup, of course. Like, you pee so much when you're pregnant, for doctors, it's not even funny. So I peed in a cup. They change your clothes, and then you have a screening room that you go to basically make sure that you're actually supposed to be there. You're not just having Braxton Hicks like I thought. They hook me up to the machine. There's things that sit on your stomach to monitor the baby's heart rate and to also monitor your contractions. So, make a long story short, they found out I was 4 centimeters dilated. I was in labor. Duh. So she's like, yeah, you're in labor. We're gonna check you in all the way now, get you a room and get you comfortable. No, I walked from the pre-screening room to the room they checked me into. Lady checks me in. She re-hooks me up to all these machines, gives me an IV with a drip, and she goes, do you want an epidural? Now, at first, in like planning my labor, I forget what it's called, but when you have your labor plan or whatever, or your labor dreams and aspirations, I didn't want to do an epidural because I heard it was, you know, there's so much controversy with epidurals. I'll just leave it at that. I didn't really want to have one, but the fact that I had been up from the morning of the 27th and it was now the morning of the 28th and I was nowhere near pushing this baby out, I was so tired, I got an epidural. I didn't even have to think about it. As soon as she said you can sleep after the epidural, like, give it to me. The guy showed up within fractions of a second. I think he was helping another person who was in a room close to me. So he showed up within fractions of a second, and then I panicked because I remembered all the controversy about how if something goes wrong, I could potentially be paralyzed, she could be harmed, you know. It was just, I panicked and I started crying, and the nurse was so understanding. She ended up, you know, comforting me. They have you like sit on the edge of your bed. You kind of tuck your head and curl your body in like this so that your back kind of pokes out for the guy. I did not feel a thing before the epidural was inserted or after. Like, the whole process, it was completely painless. I kind of panicked because I thought I was going to be in all kinds of pain during it, and not the case. Like, it was so, the most I felt was a cool shock, and that was it. And within fractions of a second, it felt like, it was like I blinked my eyes and my lower half, I stopped feeling contractions, which allowed me to sleep. And that sleep was so good. It was the best sleep ever. I I labored from, I think I got to the hospital at like 9. They gave me the epidural. Family shows up. I had text my family, this is not a drill, this is not a drill. I had my mom, my sister, my best friend, and my best friend's mother there. And then at about 3 o'clock, I got to about 9.5, 10 centimeters dilated. And so they gave me a peanut, which is a, it's kind of like a blown up pillow that's in shape of a peanut. And they stick it in between your legs and you lay on your side. And they tilted my pelvis in the bed down to help, you know, have her drop, you know, out. And so within, I think it was like 30 minutes, not even, her head started to come out. It came out so rapidly that they were like, wait, don't push, whatever you do. And they had to page the doctor really quick and have the doctor come in. And to make a long story short, I got into position. The doctor was like, oh my, look at all that hair. They just kept saying, all this hair. She has a head full of hair. And I pushed once, and then they said, reach down. And I reached down and pulled her up, and they put her on my chest. And she was crying, of course, when she came out. But as soon as I put her on my chest, they asked me a question, and I answered them. She stopped crying, and she looked up at me. And the nurse was like, oh my gosh, she knows your voice. And it was just, it's the best feeling ever. Seeing this little face look at you and wonder what's going on. It's just, it's the best feeling ever. It's nothing, I can't even explain it. I really can't. So I'm trying to think what else I want to say. Oh, they whisked her off, of course, you know, to get her weight and all that stuff. And they kept bringing her back so that we could do skin to skin with her. Some of the things that happened, I kept my placenta because I had it encapsulated afterwards. I tore a little bit. I did not look at it or anything like that. But I think my boyfriend said I got 3 stitches, which is not that much. Only tore a little bit. I did tear my urethra, which that was not fun. Some of the things I didn't know were going to happen. When you have a baby, you bleed a lot, like a lot. Just be prepared to see a lot of blood come out. They changed the pad under me several times, and they pushed on my cervix several times to get it to go back down as much as they could. Your first pee afterwards is not fun. I think about 5 or 6 o'clock, I was in the maternity ward with her. At Anne Arundel, they don't take the baby from you, and I was breastfeeding, so they don't take the baby from you during the night. They you stay with your baby in the same room, which is another feature that I loved. I had a private room, thank goodness, because I didn't want to share. And we spent the night together, me and her. And this is Khalani. She was 5 pounds, I think 12 ounces at birth, and 17 inches long. She had her 2-month appointment yesterday, and she is 7.7 pounds and 20.5 inches long. So we're moving right along, and she's in newborn onesies and 3-month pants for length, because she's getting longer than what newborns were allowed for, and she's wearing all Carters right now. So give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more baby related videos, because there's more to come. Give me some suggestions of some videos you want to see with her down in the description bar, and so hit that subscribe button and check us out at twocurls1comb.com. I will see you guys later. Say bye. Say bye.